Look at this beautiful scenery. This is an amphitheater in the town of Dillon, Colorado. It is a beautiful amphitheater that is basically owned and operated by the city. And groups, I mean, they put on shows, performances there. You could tell it seems like a really cool place to go, right? They have graduations there, they have free concerts, they have movie nights. And the thing is, over the past several years, that venue has become really, really popular. And outside groups came and said, hey, can we rent out this space because we want to hold an event here? And so local officials have to decide, we didn't realize it would be this popular. We don't have a policy in place when it comes to how to handle outside groups deciding how to use the amphitheater, whether they can use it, things like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. They just realized, well, we need to come up with a policy that addresses how outside groups can use this place. Like, what should the rental costs be? What times are you allowed to use it? What are the specific rules? Normal local government stuff, right? Except there's one twist to this, which is that picture I just showed you. Guess who's standing in the amphitheater right there? That would be a pastor, because for 42 years now, one outside group has been allowed to use the amphitheater without a problem. And they pay rent, but they've been allowed to use this amphitheater, and it's the Dillon Community Church. Now, they have their own building a couple of blocks away, but they're like, well, it's Sunday morning. I mean, where would you rather be on a Sunday morning? Inside some stuffy church or at that amphitheater? And of course, the answer is the amphitheater. So for 42 years now, the church has, I think, paid whatever the rent is. And the city's been like, yeah, you can use it on Sunday morning. We weren't doing anything with the space. The problem is that no other outside group is able to use or even rent the facility. And so earlier this year, this came up as a topic of discussion. Like, maybe it made sense to offer the church access, decades ago. Maybe like no one was using it, no one cared. Maybe that was the case. But now it's a really popular venue. A lot of people want to use it. They need a policy. But of course, if more businesses and let's say a political group wants to use it and other religious organizations want to use it, they need a set of rules they can apply to everyone equally and fairly. Like, so why is one church and only that one church allowed to access this beautiful space when that privilege is not extended to any other group, right? So back in April, local officials knew this was becoming a problem, and they said, we need to do something about this. And check this out. This is from the Summit Daily, which is a local paper. Dillon town manager Nathan Johnson said during a town council work session last Tuesday, April 9th, this is months ago, that the town has allowed the Dillon Community Church to use the amphitheater for services for years, but other groups have also asked to use the venue. As you all know, our Dillon Amphitheater is widely popular. We have a lot of different interest groups that are looking to use the facility. The obstacle we're running into is we're being contacted by other religious affiliations, political groups, corporate businesses, private individuals to use the facility. What are we going to do, right? For concerts or events like town markets, the town says this is what they decided, basically. We can partner or sponsor the event and support it with our paid staff and other help. But with outside groups, including religious groups hoping to use the amphitheater, maybe we should not get involved here, right? Like, because right now the town is sponsoring everything in the amphitheater. So they said, if there are religious groups or outside groups, maybe we should take our hands off of this, which means you need a separate policy. I don't know as a town that we are comfortable being a sponsor or partner of that event, because that might start to cross the lines of political or religious affiliations, even private corporations. Absolutely correct. If a political group says we want to rent the facility, you can't have it as a town-sponsored thing because it's going to run into some problems. But if the town just says it's open to rent for any group that follows our rules, and some group rents it, well, at least the town is like, it's not our responsibility. They fairly paid the rental price. They followed our rules. That's true of any rental space, right? So that's the right discussion they needed to be having at the time, okay? So basically, this town said, hey, we have a town lawyer. Can we get the lawyer to do something about this? Because really, they had two options. they could craft a policy that says outside groups can rent the space in a fair way, and they can make sure independently run events are advertised as such, like an open forum. That's fine. Or they could just tell everybody, guess what? The amphitheater cannot be used by any outside groups. They could do that too. And maybe you could say that's bad business. They're not making enough money, whatever. But right now, the amphitheater is owned by the city. So they could just say, well, we're only going to do our events here, and everything that is in the amphitheater, we're putting our stamp of approval on it. And it's just closed. No one can rent this. That would also be legal. So which of those two options was it going to be? So the town attorney, her name is Kathleen Kelly, she says, well, if you had the first option where anyone can use it, you need basically a policy that allows everything to be treated fairly. And so they talked about why you would want to draft such a policy. And later on, she came back and she had actually put together this document. This is the amphitheater use policy. And it's a lot of legalese, but it says things like, what about for ticketed events? You know, the town can have ticketed events. And, you know, if someone wants to come in for a concert, they have to pay $25,000, but the town sponsors that event. They get some of the ticket sales and a merchandise fee, like whatever. I don't know if this is too much, too little, whatever, but all of this is fine. Like the town can do movie nights, concerts, beer festivals, local graduations. The town will cover all of the costs for all of those things, but they get to keep the profits from concession stands, merchandise, all that stuff. She put together this list of what the town could do if, she said, if the town manages all of that. But also you would need a separate policy if anyone could use all of it. And it seems like what they decided was, let's just keep it to ourselves, right? Town-sponsored events, we can either charge tickets and make them pay a price, or we'll run it for free and we'll take up the costs. All that's fine. But that raises an interesting question. What about outside groups that want to use the theater? And what the lawyer said is that our town uses the amphitheater so much, like 5 to 6 days a week, that we really could get away with saying no to everybody, and we would still do fine in terms of finances when it comes to just running everything ourselves. You don't need to rent it out to outside groups. There's no benefit that would come from it. We're fine on our own. And that avoids any legal problems. That avoids any controversy if the wrong people rent it, right? But also, that also puts a stop to all the rising demand because all these outside people want it. Guess what? None of you get to use it. Find some other place to go. That's also fine. So given the choice between a public forum and keeping it closed, they decided to keep it closed. And all that's fine. But what happens to the church? That was a question that came up because under the policy their lawyer drafted, no outside group could rent the amphitheater, which would shut out the Dillon Community Church. And what Kelly, the lawyer, said is that this helps us avoid any possible Establishment Clause violations, right? This is what she told, let me show you this right here. This is what she told the city. Where did it go? I lost this for a second. I'm going to pull this up really quick. Here we go. Where? Oh my God, come back. There we go. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you here. Here's what the town attorney, Kathleen Kelly, said. The Establishment Clause essentially says that government cannot support, promote, or become overly intertwined with religious activities. The use of the amphitheater, because it's owned by the town of Dillon, is subject to the Establishment Clause, and that is something I urge you to take into consideration. So she's telling them, just say no to the church. We don't want to get sued for any of this. Dillon Community Church senior pastor Jim Howard noted, the church has been a staple of the town since it was founded. After he was told you can't use the amphitheater anymore, he's like, we are very sad. You know, our church was started in 1912, and we're very sad. We're not attorneys. We just rent it. Yeah, that's nice. This is not anti-Christian what they are doing, but go to your own building. It's fine. You don't get grandfathered in to the amphitheater, right? It doesn't matter. You don't get to use this church. And now check this out. The mayor pro tem, Renee Imamura, said she also is not in favor of the proposed amphitheater policy. because now some of these town leaders start fighting back. They're like, what? You're saying no to the church? She believes that the town council can come up with a better solution, even if it means opening the venue to other users as well. Legally, I do want to protect the town, absolutely. But I'd be in favor of opening it up to everyone. Although Dillon Community Church should be grandfathered in. They have been using our facility for so many years. Then to pull the rug out from under them, I just do not agree with that. Think about that for a second. So again, they have two choices: open forum or shut it out for outsiders. I said that wrong. Shut it off to outsiders. They have those two options. Lawyers saying shut everyone out. And they're saying maybe we can open it up. But if we go with this option and make sure no one else can access it, let's let the church in. And the lawyer's like, what are you doing? That is not an option I presented you with. And here's the thing. The town leaders could absolutely vote down the close off to outside groups policy. They can go with the open forum. That would be fine. What they cannot do is say, no outside group can rent it except the church. Not an option. And the lawyer is trying to tell them this over and over in so many ways. One person, a town council member, Dana Christensen, said, well, the church should be allowed to use it because the church runs a local food bank. So like they provide a service to the community, so let's help them out. But that's not how it works. Other community organizations also provide a benefit to the community. Like, why aren't they being allowed to let in here? The same town council member said local groups should be able to get preferential treatment. Again, not how it works. The church's pastor said they should be allowed to do it, like I showed you, for tradition. So all these people are like going crazy. There's only one member of the town council who's like, what are you people doing? This is insane. Hendricks was the lone no vote on Christensen's motion. The motion was, let's ditch what our lawyer said. And Hendricks was like, maybe that's not a good idea. Hendricks said, we shouldn't be opening ourselves up like this. We did not build the amphitheater for God. We built the amphitheater for Summit County. Luck, this is another city council member who noted he is a lawyer, said, there's a very small chance that if we extend the current situation by 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, there will be legal issues that will expose the town. Let me back up on this. They voted as a town council. Let's not take a vote yet. Let's not do this yet. Let's just push it to the next meeting. And this person is saying, we might be sued, but it's tiny, tiny chance that we'll get sued. And the lawyer's like, what are you doing? You've been fully briefed on the legal advice. It is your decision what you want to do with it from a policy standpoint. I am not here to argue with anyone about the use of the amphitheater. The lawyer's like, what is wrong with all of you? I told you your options. You're not listening to me. And Christensen, the one city town council member who's like fighting the lawyer on this, says, if it's me, I'm paying my attorney to find solutions, not to throw obstacles in the way of what we're trying to accomplish. So I would just like to put on a future agenda that we might review our legal representation. Like basically, let's get rid of our lawyer. That'll solve our problems. This is how they're handling this situation. So guess what happened this past week? After all of this, after all this stuff happens, I love this headline. The lawyer decided she's out. Dillon town attorney submits resignation after meeting where town council went against her advice regarding amphitheater. They now have 30 days to find a new law firm, or else they may have to cancel meetings altogether. Look at this. They voted. Look at what they did. Not only did they ignore what she said, they voted to allow the church to continue holding Sunday services at the town's amphitheater, which is totally illegal, and now everyone knows it's illegal. FFRF, they chimed in. They should listen to their attorney, allowing a church to make the Dillon Amphitheater its permanent place of business to the exclusion of all other churches, secular community groups, and individuals who wish to use this public facility impermissibly advances religion, which is FFRF speak for you are getting sued very soon. Watch yourselves. And check this out. Hendricks, this is the one dude who was on the right side of this. He's worried that the decision exposes the town to a potential lawsuit. It is a horrible position to put ourselves in purposely. I am not sure how the 5 council members were able to come up with this decision. It does not seem well thought out and in the best interest of Dillon. It bothers me that there are members of the Dillon Community Church on the town council and nobody seems to care. I wish he had gone into detail. I didn't know who those members were. But basically, you have members of the church who are on the city town council saying it's cool for the church to keep using the public amphitheater. Also, no other groups are allowed to use the amphitheater. Let's ignore what our attorney says about how this is illegal. Let's fire the attorney. Then the attorney says, I'm just going to quit because none of you all are listening to me. It's a shit show over there. And they're about to get sued. All because they have this beautiful amphitheater and they can't come up with a fair policy that both gives them what they want and allows the church to keep using it. Just a completely avoidable situation. But when you have a town that is run by these Christian zealots who can't see out of their like Jesus covered glasses, you get dumb policies like this. I don't know where they're going to go with this. I don't know what's going to happen in the weeks ahead. It's probably not going to be good unless they come to their senses and some other lawyer they hire says, you should have listened to the last person. I don't think they're going to do that. Sounds like the crazy people have outnumbered the one sane dude. We'll see.